Have you ever heard about the void? In the spiritual awakening journey, the spiritual void phase. What is that? What's its purpose? Why on earth is this happening? And what to do about it as you're going through it. One of the things I love about this channel are the beautiful comments I get, the genuine questions, really honest questions from my subscribers. And a couple of times subscribers commented on the void and had questions about it. And one of the questions I really loved was someone who asked if the void manifests itself externally as well as internally. So we're going to get into it right now. Hi there, beautiful souls. I'm Michèle Duquet. Welcome to my channel, Soulful and Unplugged, a channel about the spiritual awakening journey where I show you how to live a more joyful life by helping you navigate your human journey through your soul's perspective. This is part 7 of my awakening series, a series about the spiritual awakening journey, and I will link that playlist up here as well as in the descriptions below. So first of all, what is it? I felt called to do a video on this because I have had a lot of experience with the void. In my personal experience, it's a sense of nothingness. The old is gone and the new is not yet there. And there was this real lack of motivation. The things that used to excite me stopped exciting me. The motivation to create something new wasn't happening. So what it is it's a shift in consciousness. In fact, a huge shift in consciousness. And what's happened is that you have shifted to a new consciousness after a lot of inner work, a lot of shadow work, a lot of digging up the trauma and healing that trauma. You are in a new consciousness, but you're not yet at ease with this new you, because this new you is still evolving. You're in a state of beingness, in a state of kind of neither here nor there. The programming is gone, but the creation and the new you is also not there. And it's the unease that comes with you just sitting still in this, what feels like a void. So a good way to describe it is to say that we are sitting in our unknown. So especially if we're doers, if we're used to being doers, always active and doing and motivating, to be in our beingness is really uncomfortable. It feels like nothing's happening. It feels like we should be doing something. Well, really, what this phase is about is us learning how to just be and reach a point of comfort in our beingness, because that brings us into a real sense of presence and our total creative power in the present moment. So it is a part of the spiritual awakening journey, but it's very uncomfortable because it's unknown, and it is about sitting and doing nothing. So how does it affect us, and why is it important in the spiritual awakening journey? What it does is it forces us to face what we don't want to face. It forces us to revisit everything. It forces us to sit still in some of the things that we may have run away from in the past. We start seeing ourselves in a very different light. We're forced to befriend our soul in a way that we can't if we're busy and active and going about our regular day. And in these, times of, I guess, lockdowns, it's really what's been happening to a lot of people. We haven't had our regular, schedules and things to do. Even the other day, I was just like, I've had it. I'm putting on pants. Enough with the leggings. I'm gonna go to the grocery store. I'm gonna put some nice boots on, some nice pants on. I'm gonna put a nice sweater on, a bit of makeup. Just wanted to, I don't know, feel regular just for, an hour. And it felt amazing. Why? Because it was that old, familiar, busy self. And, we have been sitting in stillness a lot. We have been in self-reflection for a long time now, many, many, many months. And it may have felt like the void, actually. But in the spiritual context, what it is doing is helping us be still with what we don't want to be still with. And that is very important, that stillness, because it helps us connect with our internal spiritual compass. It helps us connect with a higher power, or it helps us reach deeper within. We reach within for peace rather than externally. And here's a question I loved from a subscriber. Is it only an internal feeling? Actually, no. It is manifested on the external side of our life as well. Our life is a reflection of this void inside. It's amazing how that works. It really does reflect exactly what's going on. And it is no accident that the universe creates this seeming void on the external side, reflected in our life, because it is about finding that internal space. So why does the void manifest itself externally too? Well, I have a lot of experience with that. About 10 years ago, I decided to completely change the course of my life and really come full out of the spiritual closet. Not quite as out as I am now with the, energy updates and readings and channel, but I started writing a book, and I dedicated myself every day from 8 in the morning till 11 or noon every single day to writing this book on the spiritual awakening journey. And what happened was my acting career nosedived completely. No more bookings, no more auditions, nothing. And I'd called my agent, and I still had an agent, and she was still submitting me, but for some reason it wasn't happening. Could have been an age group change. That for sure happens in every actress's career. But it was shocking to me that I had to rely 100% on my savings. And I went through tremendous financial stress. And I couldn't understand why. Why was my external life also reflecting such void? It was very difficult, very challenging. But what happened was it really afforded me the luxury of diving deeper and deeper within, which is a luxury. I feel incredibly blessed that I actually did have savings I could live on. As anyone who's ever done that, it is a very scary thing to do. And especially you would understand right now what's going on in the world, all the financial stress and difficulties people are going through, how stressful it is. But it was so connected to my own spiritual awakening journey, even though I had my big awakening when I was 8 years old. This was about the integration of everything that I had learned, the embodiment of it, grounding it into my being with it instead of doing. Writing a book is quite a lot about being. It's very solitary, and it was really about channeling a lot of messages from the energetic realms. Even though I didn't know it at the time, I was channeling a lot of this higher kind of consciousness energy. And if I had not had that external void, I would not have had the soul growth that I ended up having at the same time. The embodiment, the grounding of all of my light into my life and my body and myself, all of me. It was about becoming my authentic self, 100%. And that takes time. It is a process. And it's a process of getting comfortable with just being. How can I deal with it while it is happening? How can you deal with it while it's happening? And I have some notes here. I just didn't want to lose, track of my thoughts. So number one, know that it will pass. And I think this is the most difficult thing to believe. Because when you're in it, you think it's going to last forever. You think, this is awful. I hate it. How am I going to learn to just be in this void? When is this going to finish? It's already been like a year. How much longer? Well, for me, it lasted 2 years. Not that it's going to be like that for you. It's different for everyone. Believe me, every single person's spiritual awakening journey is unique to that person. But trust me, know that it will pass. And you'll look back one day and be so glad that you went through it. Why? Because you are going to have an internal soul strength that you never could have had without going through this. Okay, number two. Oh, be kind and patient with yourself. I think that was really hard. For me, I'd oscillate between, being self-critical and then realizing that, my lesson was about self-love and self-patience. And that is quite challenging. But it is really important. Just find kindness and patience for yourself and love. Have empathy for what you're going through. It's a very difficult thing. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's about going through it, not avoiding it. Okay, number three, connect with someone whom you trust to be a spiritual guide or coach. So for example, you're watching this video, and that's helpful because I've been through it. I'm kind of like a guide helping you understand that this is normal. It feels completely abnormal. It feels confusing. It's strange being. What is that? And void, there's nothing. Having gone through it, I can tell you that I am so grateful that I did go through it. And you will too come through it. But like watch videos of other people who have gone through a spiritual awakening, who can instill in you the confidence that you're not crazy. You're just still in the process of spiritual awakening. And it's a journey. It's an absolute journey of consciousness. And you've gone through a pretty major shift in consciousness. So you need people to kind of hold your hand and go, it's going to be okay. So hold my hand. Hold my hand. Say it's going to be okay. Connect to a higher power that feels right for you. This is really important for me. I always guide people to finding a higher power that works for them. It's a very personal relationship, a personal higher power. Even like create one. So in the course of my life, I've fired a few higher powers. I went, wait a second, that higher power is a little too critical. I want a higher power that is unconditionally loving, unconditionally supportive, will be delighted to dive into every single detail of my life. Like that's my higher power. So in this stillness that you're going through, this is an opportunity to really connect to a power that is greater than yourself from the energy realms, from either, source or the universe or the angelic realms. Whatever works for you, connect to that. And this is your opportunity to do that. 5, practice acceptance of yourself. Without pressuring yourself to be different than how you are. Oh boy, that is so important. See, the part about not pressuring yourself to be different than how you are is the point. The point is for you to fully accept your authentic self, fully accept everything that you are right now. Yes, we are all beautiful lights, but as human beings, we don't have that experience. We are in our programming, we do have a lot of earthly conditioning. So when you shift consciousness, all those earthly conditionings do unravel. And if you pressure yourself to be anything other than exactly what you are and exactly where you're at right now, it's going to shortchange you that process, the process of becoming comfortable with just exactly who you are. Yes, you're a beautiful light. We are all beautiful lights. But it's easier said when we're out of our bodies and on the other side and, you know, not in this three-dimensional realm. The reason we all came here is to experience this beingness, experience this light in a challenging setting. And this is it, very challenging. 6, know that you are strengthening your spiritual practice as you sit with this void. Listen to this. Know that you are strengthening your spiritual practice as you sit with the void. So, as you sit with nothingness, as you sit in stillness, as you are with your beingness, you are doing your spiritual practice. So as you're doing this beingness, as you're being in stillness, you're strengthening your spiritual practice. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're, should be doing push-ups. It feels like doing nothing doesn't strengthen anything. But that's the whole point. Just being is strengthening your spiritual practice. That is the spiritual practice. And number 7, understanding that this is a necessary part of the spiritual journey. You can't bypass this. This is really necessary. You have to go through this in order to strengthen your spiritual practice, in order to strengthen your soul connection, in order to strengthen your connection to a higher power, and in order to embody and be the light that you are while here on earth. It's a lot to swallow, it's a lot to handle, but if you can grasp that, it makes the whole process of being in the void a lot easier. So you may not understand the purpose of being in the void right now, but you will. Once you've gone through this, you will understand why you went through it. So here's another question I wanted to touch on. What is happening to you at the energetic level? This is really important because we are all energy. Billions of energetic fields, potential energetic fields coming into actualization. So energetically, what is happening is an expansion of your energy. Since your consciousness is shifting, so is your energy. And it's kind of like when you're moving, you pack up all your stuff and it's a mess. You're in between places. That's what's happening with your energy. Your energy is being uplifted and moved and rearranged, and you are entering into a completely new state of being. Energy is always in movement, never static. You are always vibrating at a certain frequency. Energetically, what is happening is you're going through a major transformation. So if you can allow yourself to go through this stage of the energy being in movement and your frequencies changing, it's so beneficial because it is hugely transformative. Okay, back to my notes. So I thought about kind of the stuff that helped me when I was, in that void place, and it was action. There were some things I was doing, being active, but they were also quite passive and helped me stay in my state of being. So there's like 7 of them. Declutter. So as I was decluttering, I was getting more and more in touch with something internal, and it was very, very helpful. So cleaning out the closets, number 2, very helpful. Number 3, go for nature walks. So the thing about nature walks is that we are nature. In our bodies, we are nature. And in our, even our cellular makeup, our vibrational makeup, we are exactly like nature. Hard to believe, but it's true. So when we go for nature walks, we get back in touch with our nature, our soul, our human nature and soul. And that always helped me feel like I was doing something self-loving for myself as I was going through this. It helped that I have a dog and she needed a walk, and there she is. There's my little baby. Okay, meditate, obviously. It helps you be in the stillness in a way that just listening to music or reading a book or walking doesn't quite do. It's at a whole other level. Six, read inspiring writings. So I just said how meditation is not like reading a book. But anyway, read inspiring writings. Yeah, sometimes, reading a book from someone who has gone through this can inspire you to get comfortable with what you're going through. And I've done that a lot. I would read a lot of just inspiring books from beautiful souls, really loving writers, loving souls that helped me be comfortable with what I was going through. Number 7, relax without doing anything. And I think that must be the hardest part of all, is to relax without doing anything. I'm a doer. I love, rock climbing. I love exercise. I love movement. And to relax without doing anything really helped me get comfortable with being and with presence and with simply connecting to something so much bigger than me, so much bigger than all of us. And you do discover that and find that through being. So just remember this. Basically, in a nutshell, at this stage, there's nothing to do. That's why it's the void. If you can allow it to just happen, and if you can allow yourself to just go through it organically, there's so much energy moving, there's so much transformation happening, that one day you're going to burst through with so much creativity that you'll understand why you had to go through this, and you'll be so grateful that you allowed yourself to basically do nothing. Thank you so much for being here, brave souls, and for sharing your own personal journey with me. It is always such an honor and a privilege to share this space with you. I will link this series, the Awakening series, right up here as well as in the descriptions below. I love you so much. Mwah! Wish you a beautiful week. See you next week.